There are two other words I've discovered through researching you, Sensei, and that's Zanshin and mushin. And again, they are related to tea, and I believe Zanshin is also related to martial arts.
As is mushin.
Okay.
Yes, these are very. For me, Zanshin was one of the most powerful phrases when I was doing martial arts. I refer to it in a very simplistic way as situational awareness, meaning that if I'm fighting somebody and I knock them down, or if I'm doing EI, you've done EI, so you know what Zanshin is. You make your cut, and then you assess that. You're not just going to put your blade away and walk away. You want to make sure that your opponent is actually down and done.
Finished.
He's not going to get back up and knock you in the back of the head when you're not looking. And so this kind of situational awareness, or this awareness, is very important. In tea, I kind of describe it. It's a little bit different. The actual two Chinese characters for that is nokori no kokoro, lingering heart, for an English explanation. The leftover, if you would, zan. So it's leftover heart. And there is one phrase in the poems of the 100 poems of Rikyu where it states that we should not, like, say, for example, if I'm, this is probably kind of out of my book, is if I'm wiping the container that holds the tea, that process is not finished after I'm finished wiping. I have to put the piece down, and then I have to pay attention to where I'm going next. So I'm not just, okay, that's done, next. There has to be an element of a flow to it. And so in the way of tea, in these 100 poems of Rikyu, there's one poem that says that when you release an item, you should be like releasing your hand from the face of a lover that you're not going to meet for a long time. So you're not just going to go take it away. It's going to be more of a lingering.
I understand.
Your lingering heart, if you would.
That's a beautiful way to frame it.
Yes, it struck me quite very interesting. Actually, one of the other YouTube videos that I recommended to you was where Peter was being hosted by Yamamoto Sensei, and there's a part in that video where Yamamoto Sensei puts out the tea bowl for Peter, and when he releases his hand from the tea bowl, it just floored me. It was just so elegant. It was just exactly what I talked about. You could just see that Zanshin. It was, and I'm to this day, I'm trying to duplicate that from Yamamoto Sensei, but I don't quite have it. But yeah, so that was quite nice, the way that he just, it looked like it was slow motion, but it wasn't. It wasn't like he just put it down and then let go. It was very elegant. The movement was very elegant. Lots of heart.
I did actually notice the movements of the tea master and also the guests. And one guest, after he's taken a sip and he's slowly put the bowl down, he gets his right hand and kind of angles it down and puts it on his knee on top of his kimono. And I was thinking, is that a expression of gratitude, or
he put his, what did he do? Say it again.
So as he had a sip,
right,
he put the bowl down because I think he was going to share it, so he had to.
Yes, it would have been thick tea. Yeah.
The next person, but as he did that, his right hand was almost pointed down like that on an angle, and on top of his right knee. And it looked so precise and purposeful.
Was he still holding the bowl?
I'm not sure. So, I'll have to go back. But there was.
What happens there is, if I can interject there, what would happen probably is he took a sip, and then the host would have asked him, "How was the tea?" And so then he takes his right hand down to bow and puts it down in front of him, and he bows to the host and he says, "It was very nice, thank you." So when he's sipping, after he's made the first sip, the host will say, "Ufukukage ikaga desu ka? How is the tea?" And he would take that and bow to the host and say, "Keiko desu."
I think you're right. He bowed. Maybe they removed the audio, but
quite probably they were having a talk over it like that.
It was
that's normally what happens.
Yeah. So there's this elegance of movements, but I was thinking, if I were to describe the way of tea, or what is described as a tea ceremony. I was thinking you'd describe it as sort of precision in action and subtlety in communication.
Very, very much so. Very good. Yes, and there's a lot of silent communication as well. Like I said, this sound of the guest drinking the tea. The host isn't watching him. He's sitting away, looking away. So when he hears the first sip of the host, then he would know to ask. So it's this silent, nonverbal communication, if you would. And so this plays into the elegance of the gathering as well. And so, it's this sign of respect and harmony and purity, they all play into each part of it. And so it definitely, the way you explain it is fine. It's a very good way to talk about it. And then getting back to your other term, which was mushin.
Mushin.
Okay. Again, the previous one was Zanshin. Next one's mushin. So shin means heart in Japanese, kokoro. So Zanshin, leftover heart. Mushin means no heart.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean cold-hearted or no-hearted like that. It's a totally different concept. It means I actually translate it in my book as in the groove.
Yeah, I like that translation. Yeah.
Something that you do unconsciously. It's something that you've done many times repetitively, and then you just kind of takes you over, and you're doing it. You're in the groove, like people that are running sprinters and things like this. They get into you know it. You're doing it. And sometimes you're on, sometimes you're off. And so when you're in the groove, you can actually kind of know when you're in the groove, and you can feel it easier. And so what it means is to be able to, in the martial arts, I would parry you without thought, or I would hit you without thought. So it's kind of like, and it doesn't mean not thinking. They have another phrase for no thought in muso, but that's a different idea. So mushin just means to be able to do something naturally without being present in the thought, so to speak.